Background, there we go. Got it. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see everybody and be able to talk with you today on this 4th of July, or as tomorrow. I'm going to talk today about a topic that I have no expertise in and that I am not qualified to talk about. I thought I would talk about Hamilton today because I know how much Russ Vuich loves it when I talk about and share the music from Hamilton, but I thought I would tackle something even more important and more difficult in talking about Black Lives Matter. And I'm changing my background to what I think is a more appropriate one for this topic. As a white male who employs a large number of people of color, I want to better understand the issue, the anger, the stress, the racial anxiety, and the implicit bias of that people of color face every day. At the end of the day, I want to learn, I want to understand, to be more empathetic to the issues people in our communities face every day. Today, I would like to share with you some of the things I've been listening to, watching, reading, and learning about why there is such anger and such frustration that have caused such worldwide protests over racial justice. I will start with sharing a Facebook post from a good friend of mine who is an attorney, whose father played basketball for John Wooden, who went to UC Davis with me and went to the University of Oregon Law School, and also is Black. This is his post from his soapbox. So I woke up this morning to a dear friend, a white female, post on Facebook which started out, "All lives matter." My heart sank. In fairness to her, she went on to share a new song from the Chicks that supports Black Lives Matter and the current protest movement. I assume she was unaware that all people matter and similar statements are dog whistles for people refusing to acknowledge that there is a problem with how Black people have been treated in our country, particularly by police. No, I don't believe all police are bad, but the ones who are bad must be held accountable. No, I do not believe that we should defund the police. I think we need fewer police who are held accountable. No, I do not believe we should. I think we should have fewer police who are better paid, better trained, and live in the communities they police. All people cannot matter unless Black lives matter. This is not that complicated. All people aren't pulled over by police at gunpoint to have their cars searched, as I have had happen to me on 2 separate occasions for no other reason than because I am Black. I was not cited for anything either time, and fortunately, I was not shot. Excuse me. I have been arrested in my home for no other reason than being a Black male. The pretext of the arrest was that I was hosting a party for 30 people. The truth is, there were 6 people in my home, 5 of them were officers of the court. I had to sue the police in federal court in order to obtain a finding of actual innocence because I work in social services, which I could not do with an arrest record. Black and brown folks and their allies who are out saying Black Lives Matter are making a statement that clearly everyone does not believe. Please do not respond to Black Lives Matter by saying all lives matter or all people matter or any other similar statement. Such responses like that say that you aren't listening. Makes me wonder if you really believe Black Lives Matter. Posted by my friend, Greg Torrance. I can't even imagine, and I did not know these parts of his life until I saw this post. This is not something that is so far from my own reality that I couldn't imagine what his reality would be to be pulled over, held at gunpoint by a police officer, or to be arrested in your own home. Yesterday, I can't imagine those feelings, and they make me pause and wonder what we can do differently. Yesterday, I participated in, really listened in on a Zoom forum at Francis Parker, where I went to high school, with leaders from the administration, Black leaders on diversity, and other alumni. And we discussed racial inequity, implicit bias, racial anxiety, And here's what I learned, because I didn't speak up, because trying to learn. The moderator talked about schisms about groups of people, how our brains create categories, how our brains create associations, how our brains fill gaps. She also talked about implicit bias. And frankly, I had to Google and try to understand what that means. Implicit bias or unconscious bias or implicit stereotype is the unconscious attribution of a particular qualities by an individual to members of other social group. She also talked about racial anxiety and going through life thinking, and people of race going through life thinking, will someone discriminate against me? Will I do or say the wrong things? These are some of the things I've been watching and learning from. Additional resources that I've watched or read over the last couple of years. The Hate You Give is a great book about a young African-American woman and the dual life she lives. It's fiction, but they also made a good movie about it and what's it about. A current movie, Blind Spotting, actually written and directed by the person who played Lafayette and George Washington in Hamilton, called Blind Spotting, is a movie we watched recently that shares a lot about what it's like to be Black in America. I have shared with you the stories of a dear friend whose life I barely understood. I've shared with you what I've been listening and watching about racial bias, implicit bias, racial anxiety, and racial equity. Now what? What do we do to make sure that this time is different, that we truly do make some change in the world to help raise people up, eliminate racial inequality, and have us understand what implicit bias means? How do we change? How do we move forward? It starts by listening. It starts by opening our minds and hearts to understanding the lives of others. It starts with each of us. Mr. Toastmaster.